Solving multi-step inequalities. Objectives to solve multi-step inequalities. What are the solutions of the inequalities? Check your solutions. Okay, for A, to start getting A all by itself, we're going to add 7 to both sides. So now I have negative 6A is less than or equal to 24. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 6 to solve for A. And when I divide by the negative 6, that makes the sign flip. So now I have A is greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay, B. I'm going to start getting the n all by itself. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And I get negative 9 is less than negative 3n. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. Because of the negative 3, the negative divided by negative makes this side a positive, so I have negative 9 divided by negative 3 is 3. But the negative 3 causes the sign to flip, so I have negative 3 is greater than n. And last but not least, we end up with decimals. So I'm going to take, to start getting the x by itself, I'm going to subtract 30 from both sides. And I get 20, that's a 20, is greater than 0.8x. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 0.8. And I get 25. Oops, 25 is greater than x. Example 2 says you want to make a rectangular banner that is 18 feet long. You have no more than 48 feet of trim for the banner. What are the possible widths of the banner? Okay, so we're going to draw a picture. And it says that the banner is 18 feet long. So here's 18, here's 18. And we don't know what the width is, so we're going to call this W and W. But it says you have no more than 48 feet of trim for the banner. Well, trim, that means it's going around the banner. That's perimeter. So to set up an equation, we know that we have W plus W gives me 2W. So I have 2W plus 18 plus 18 would give me 36. And that's the distance all the way around my rectangle. We know that that has to be less than or equal to 48 because I don't have any more than 48 feet of trim. Now I can start solving for my width. So I'm going to subtract 36 from both sides. So I have 2w is less than or equal to 12. Then I can divide both sides by 2. And that means my width is less than or equal to 6. So that means that my width can be anywhere from 0 to 6. It says what are the solutions of 15 is less than or equal to 5 minus 2 times the quantity 4m plus 7. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to move this 5, so I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And so now I have 10 is less than or equal to negative 2 times the quantity 4m plus 7. Now some of you may want to distribute and work that way. I, however, want to look at it from the standpoint I have negative 2 times something is greater than or equal to 10 because going this way it's greater than. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 2. Now when I divide by a negative, it's going to flip this sign. So I'm going to have negative 5 is greater than or equal to 4m plus 7. Now, and the only reason I divide by the negative 2 first is because I like working with smaller numbers whenever possible. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides, and I get negative 12 is greater than or equal to 4m. And now I can divide both sides by 4. And since I'm dividing by a positive 4, the sign doesn't flip, so I have negative 3 is greater than or equal to m. Example 4 says, what are the solutions of 3b plus 12 is greater than 27 minus 2b? Check your solutions. Well, we're going to solve this just like we would if there was an equal sign there. We're trying to get our b's on one side, numbers on the other side. Now, usually when I do this, if I can keep my variable positive, it reduces my chances of making an error of forgetting to flip the sign. So I'm going to move the negative 2b. So I'm going to add 2b to both sides. So I have 5b plus 12 is greater than 27. Okay, now I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. And I have 5b is greater than 15. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And I get b is greater than 3. Example 5, it says, what are the solutions for each inequality? Okay, so the first one, I want to get my n's on one side, my numbers on the other, so I'm going to subtract 5n from both sides. Now wait a minute, now I have 9 is less than or equal to negative 1 because the 5n's cancel out on both sides. Now, is 9 less than or equal to negative 1? No, and so this would be a no solution. Because no matter what value n we plug in, it's not going to make it true. Okay, on the other side, first thing I need to do is combine my like terms. And so now I have 8 plus 6n is greater than or equal to 6n plus 2. I can subtract 6n from both sides. They cancel out on both sides, and so now I have 8 is greater than or equal to 2. Well, that's a true statement, so that means no matter what value, oh sorry, I used n's, it should have been x's, in variable, you got this. 8 is still greater than or equal to 2, so that means that all real numbers are going to work. So I'm going to have my answers all real numbers. Lesson check. Make sure you try this before you come to class.